Is Nebraska's presumed offseason weakness now a strength? No football needed to make this decision. We'll tell you next.
You are Locked On Nebraska, your daily Nebraska Cornhuskers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good morning, and thanks for making Locked On Nebraska your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right. Hello, everybody. It's Thursday. Connor Harper, Mitch Sherman here with you on the Locked On Nebraska podcast. 1 week from today, Nebraska will be playing their first game against Cincinnati at Arrowhead Stadium at 8 o'clock with a punter who has never punted before at a real college football game, and all of those.
Glad you brought that up.
Yeah, real football game, I guess, in general. I wonder how many podcast episodes Matt Rhule will have ripped off before then.
Okay.
I guess we'll find out.
Okay. Well, are we just going to talk about this right off the top?
I mean,
why not?
It's topical. Yeah.
Why not? So I thought that Matt Rhule, when the football season comes, likes to really focus, cut out the other stuff. He turns off social media. And today, we found out last night, he's debuting a podcast. Is this possible? Is he just going to do the first episode and then hand it off to other people, called Husker Rules, like with an H, Rules with an H? Clever. And there's a picture of him in his office, which is now just a podcast studio, it seems.
Now he could do like 5-minute takes, or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And then
like
he could
YouTube
just
shorts.
Maybe he had a couple hours yesterday and he just ripped off like 7 of them, and just that could be. I don't know. I don't know what the podcast format is going to look like for Matt Rhule.
We'll be curious. We'll be curious to find out.
Yes,
we're going to talk. Well, I don't know. Maybe we've said all we need to say about the Matt Rhule podcast. I have something to say about DeShaun Foster that's kind of like in this same realm that we'll get to in the third segment, but that's a ways off. We should talk about Nebraska and what happened on Wednesday in Lincoln first.
Yeah, can't wait. So we'll get to that a little bit later on the show. EJ Barthel spoke. Marcus Satterfield is still on the staff, and he's Nebraska's tight ends coach. And these are two interesting positions. We've talked about them all fall camp and all offseason long. The running back situation is okay. What happens behind Emma Johnson? How good can you possibly feel before the first game? At tight end, it's sort of a wide open book. A little bit. There's a bunch of different bodies in that room. Heinrich Harburg joins. You lost Mac Markway, but you do have Luke Lindenmeyer back. And I'm missing somebody at that spot.
Did you say Carter Nelson?
Carter Nelson. Thank you. Yes. He's for some reason always the person that I end up forgetting about because he wasn't really in that room in particular. So I'll answer your question that you asked in the cold open. Can those positions be a strength? I did not believe so. I did not believe they will be. I don't think that I've seen
throw cold water on it.
Well, I just don't think I've seen I haven't been convinced throughout this month that those positions where I was worried about them, but worried about them in a different way, not worried about them in like, okay, what are they going to get point blank period, but more so like, what's the depth like? It's the positions all around them have a lot more depth than they do. And so I don't think that they are going to be strengths, and that's okay. Like, that's not the worst thing in the world. I don't know that they're necessarily going to be bad. We got swept up in that 1 week where it was like, is Nebraska tight end you? Because Luke Lindenmeyer said it. I'm like, what are we talking about here? So no, it's okay. Nebraska doesn't have to have the best position group at every position. And I definitely don't think they do in these two.
So reality check about Nebraska's tight ends, because we, as a group of people who pay attention closely to Nebraska football, do tend to get caught up in offseason conversations. And you look at Heinrich Harburg, and he runs 22 miles an hour, and you look at Carter Nelson. He was borderline 5-star out of high school, Georgia, Notre Dame, Alabama recruited him. And you look at Luke Lindenmeyer, or at least you hear the coaches talk about him, and they say he's the most complete tight end they have on the roster. And he was training in Florida this summer and working on his speed. And like this year, he's going to catch that pass that Dylan Raiola threw against Illinois last year. Together, these players have 17 receptions. I'm sorry, that was in 2024. I don't know that any of them. Heinrich caught a pass in 2023.
Yeah, I did the math. I did the math on this several weeks ago. It was with Markway, and it was something like 40 catches for.
Have the most. Markway had the most experience, or most like numbers, from his true freshman year at LSU, and he's out with a knee injury. So I think they can be good. I think this can be probably the area, the position of most improvement on the entire Nebraska roster. But I think I think after listening to Satterfield, it didn't change my mind about this position. It's a little concern going into the season because we need to see what they're going to do on the field in games, not about practice, not about offseason hype, not about heights and weights and running speeds. Like, it's about going out there and making catches in big moments and being that third down, check down option for Dylan Raiola, or first down, check down option for Dylan Raiola to get him out of situations that could be negative plays. And I'm not sure at this point if that's going to be a strength of the Nebraska offense. In fact, I will say it will not be a strength of the Nebraska offense. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong.
I completely agree with you. I think they have other, way more defined strengths. I've always viewed tight end as a position where if you have a great one, it's a luxury. And there's a lot of teams that do now, right? They've turned it into their thing. Iowa does it every year. That's what their offense almost calls for now. I don't know that Nebraska's offense, like if you're surrounding your offense with a bunch of, really good skill players and you're able to run the ball well enough and you have a good offensive line, like, you don't have to have the best tight end in the world. And Nebraska most certainly doesn't. They have a bunch of unproven guys in that room. And so it's hard for me to say that they're going to go out there and combine for 40 catches for 600 yards or something like that. I just can't say that, because we haven't seen that yet. The rest of them, wide receivers around them, there's evidence there. Running back behind them, there's evidence there. The quarterback, the offensive line. So it's not like a huge detriment to your offense if you don't have a superstar tight end. Nebraska most certainly does not.
We're getting to that time of the year, and hey, just like a programming note, one thing we're not going to do this season is having a whole episode every week that's devoted entirely to picks around college football, but we will pick things that are of interest to us, and we're going to have one pick at the end of the show today, like a point spread pick, so I'm excited about that. But I want to set an over-under right here. We'll just do this periodically through the season. Over-under on touchdown passes caught by Nebraska tight ends in 2025, including whatever postseason there is.
Was it 0 last year?
It was 1. Carter Nelson caught one, but he wasn't playing tight end.
Carter Nelson. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. All right, so that'll probably even out a little bit. Like, Fedoni was down at the 1 like 7 times last year. So
yeah, he didn't catch one. Amazingly, yeah.
2.5, 3.5.
Oh my. Okay, yeah, we think we think a little different on that. I'm going to put the over under at 5.5.
Okay, that's not too far off.
Yeah, you're going to take the under on that.
I would. Yes.
Yeah,
I would.
Okay. Yeah. I don't even know if we're making picks. We're just setting a number and we'll see how close we're going to be. Again, we're not going to go through this thing where I have this notebook and like we're keeping track because it was dumb.
Everybody
running backs.
Everybody does a pick segment and it's just like I could feel people's eyes glaze over. I think
it's like the fantasy football segment. Thank goodness we don't do that.
Yeah.
I hope you don't have. I mean, if you have that on your radio show, then it's okay.
We do not.
You have 4 hours to fill, but
we most certainly do not, Mitch.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. I'm glad you don't. Running backs. We also heard from EJ Barthel on Wednesday in Lincoln, and we heard about Emmett Johnson's offseason. We heard about his ability to be a complete back and how the weight that he's carrying around now, north of 200 pounds, makes him a different player than what we've seen throughout his career. And when you look at Emmett Johnson, you can see that. He is big in the upper body. And I don't mean big at all in a bad way. Like his weight distribution looks great. Like he looks like what if you saw him walking around downtown Lincoln, that's a running back. For the first time, I think in his career, you look at him and you go, that's a running back. So is this potentially an area where Nebraska can hang its hat? Can it be a position of strength? Because now you have Mekhi Nelson and Isaiah Mosey as capable backups, it seems.
Yeah, this will sound like it's splitting hairs a little bit, but let me sort of explain. I am not all in. I am not like completely convinced that we're going to see Emmett Johnson be a completely different player. But that's not the worst thing in the world. Like, he was a good player last year, and I think I expect him to continue to be a good player for them this year. He'll have more of the lion's share of the carries. He'll get more comfortable and all that stuff. I think he'll be a very good, Big Ten running back. I am also not convinced about the running backs behind him yet. I know they love Mekhi Nelson. I know they love Isaiah Mosey. Like, I just got to see that one first. I've doubted it for, we thought they should have went out and got a transfer portal running back, and I still think that. So, it's thin there. With that being said, I think they'll be able to run the ball. The scheme of their offense will dictate that. Their playmakers around them will dictate that. And Emmett Johnson is good enough, player to get what's in front of him. So I don't know what that all equals out to be. I'm not telling you that the running back room is going to be bad. I'm just telling you that I don't think it will be game breaking. I wouldn't say that is the centerpiece of your offense.
While my image of the tight end room from the beginning of camp, or say mid-July until today, has not necessarily gone up. Like, I thought highly of some of those players a month ago, and I feel the same about them now. I don't feel a whole lot differently about that room. The running back group I do feel better about right now, which is odd because Quentin Ives has been a non-factor in preseason camp, and he was the player that we were putting a lot of trust in at the beginning of the summer, based on the words that Nebraska coaches said about him through the early part of the offseason. I will say that Emmett Johnson is going to have 2 100-yard rushing games in Nebraska's first 3 games. And one of those is going to be a week from today against Cincinnati. They're going to be intent on, I don't know about making a statement. Like, that's not what you go out to do. You go out to win games and keep your players, healthy. But Nebraska's going to try to run the ball. Like, that's going to be a game plan that they have against the Bearcats. Emmett's going to go over 100.
I think he can run for 1,000 yards this year and not, and not be like a game-breaking type of player. Just take what's given to him. He can run for 1,000 yards. It underscores how ridiculous it is that Nebraska hasn't had a 1,000-yard rusher since 2018. But yeah,
actually, if he runs for 1,000 yards, I don't even necessarily see that as a good thing. Like, I think it would be best for him if he runs for like 700 or 800 yards and Mosey and Nelson like really turn into something where like they have 400 yards apiece on the ground, and Nebraska has like a 3-headed running back system that keeps everybody healthy. All right, let's take a break. We have lots more to discuss about football in this episode, but when we come back, it is a huge end of the week in this state for volleyball, and we are going to get into that. Right now, though, a message from a new sponsor of the podcast, Rhule. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rhule Ready. It's a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rougette's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average in 15 minutes, and the effects can last up to 36 hours. So you can stay confident and in control when the moment's right. If traditional options have not worked, Rougiette might be the answer. More than 150,000 men have already made this switch. Head to rougiette.com/lockedoncollege and use the code lockedoncollege to get 15% off today. That's Rougiette, RUGIET.com/lockedoncollege. Promo code LockedOnCollege for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit Rougiette website for full safety information. All right, welcome back. That was fun. I practiced that last night in front of my 14-year-old. He loved it. So
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, let's talk some volleyball. So Nebraska is number 1 in the preseason poll. Huskers host the AVCA First Serve Showcase this weekend at Pinnacle Bank Arena. Yes, PBA volleyball takeover. Number 3 Pitt will face Nebraska on Friday. Tomorrow night, 6 p.m. That's on Big Fox. Sunday at 2 p.m. against number 3 Stanford. That one is on ESPN. Other teams you can see in Lincoln this weekend. Number 2 Penn State, the reigning national champ. Number 12 Creighton, local flavor, new head coach. Number 15 Kansas, new head coach. Number 16 Florida, I believe a new head coach. Vanderbilt. And then Monday in Sioux Falls at the Pentagon. Number 9, Texas A&M. Number 11, Minnesota join the fun. So this is a mega event to open the college season.
Yeah, I've heard about some things that they're going to do. They'll have like they're apparently taking over the rail yard.
The block party.
There's a block party, and there is like a red carpet. Basically, from what I've heard. So
okay, cool.
They're trying to make this. The idea was, I believe they're trying to make this a Final Four type of feel. You get all the best, some of the best teams in the country and throw a big party and hope people walk in. So I think that's kind of the idea here. And man, you got some, great programs that you're showcasing. Of course, the state of Nebraska is going to completely show up for this. So it'll be a full house for even games that aren't involving Nebraska. So this is a cool event. I'm glad it's coming to Lincoln, and sounds like it'll be done right.
Could Lincoln ever host a Final Four? I don't know if Lincoln is still restricted by some of the lodging requirements. I don't know.
I've always heard that they're getting closer to be able. I think they submitted like a bid for an NCAA tournament game. This time around, but
I think that's an old narrative. Yeah.
Also the arena is a little small.
It is. It seats 15,500 for basketball. I don't know. And basketball and volleyball are going to be the same size unless you just like pack in some extra chairs or something like that. Essentially the same size, not like a concert where you can get in 16 or closer to 17. I mean, they've done it in Omaha. They're doing it in Kansas City this year at T-Mobile. Last year it was the Yum Center in Louisville, which is a little bigger than PBA. I don't know. I will say, clearly less on the line this weekend in Lincoln than what you would find at a Final Four, but the atmosphere, I'm going to say, is going to be at that kind of a level. Like it's going to be electric down there. I'm really looking forward to going tomorrow night, Friday night. Today in Lincoln, John Cook, the former Nebraska coach, and now Omaha Supernovas GM, will hold a press conference. So interested to hear what that's going to be about. Of course, he's going to be talking about pro volleyball and the Supernovas, who will have a booth at the block party outside of PBA on Friday. I hear that Nora Sis, you're familiar with Nora Sis, the former Creighton star who plays for the Supernovas, will be there at the Supernovas block party booth.
Excellent. Yeah, it's a big volleyball,
extravaganza.
Hub extravaganza. Yeah, it's awesome. What? No better place to do it. Honestly, it's great. Also, did you see the finishing touches are finally put on PBA's new scoreboard? The wraparound scoreboard that they have in there. It looks sharp.
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, so they replaced the video board that drops down in the middle. Both of our major local arenas this offseason, where it goes all the way around instead of just the screens individually on the sides.
Okay,
it wraps all the way around. If you have, I was told this last year, if you have courtside seats, if you sit near the floor area, they're putting in screens inside the bottom of the scoreboard, so you don't have to crank your neck and look all the way up. It'll just kind of be a nice, easy view path on that one. So yeah, some nice new amenities out at PBA.
Very interested to see that. So from a media content perspective, I have a story out on The Athletic as of this morning on Dani Busboom Kelly, Nebraska's new coach, and all that she's doing from a coaching perspective in Lincoln, the trust that she's built with Nebraska players. You can read that and hear from Andy Jackson, Bergen Riley. You can hear from Renee Saunders, the 9-time state champion coach at Omaha Skutt, who was in charge of the alumni squad last weekend. Had a good few minute of conversation with Renee last weekend. You can hear from Matt Rhule in that story because he's everywhere. I do argue in this piece, maybe not argue, but I make the assessment that Dani Busboom Kelly is more in demand than Matt Rhule, and it's harder to talk to Dani than it is to talk to Matt Rhule. Let's just put it that way. There's also a great story out this morning on Omaha.com and the Omaha World Herald from Evan Bland about Dani Busboom Kelly's life, about her roots growing up in Freeman, Nebraska, on the farm, and everything that she was as an incredible young athlete. So check that out too. He did a really good job with that.
Yeah. So it'll be quite the show. And there, I read the quote yesterday from Dani, talking about sort of what to do with rotations and lineups and stuff like that. And she was like, I made it very clear to my team that this stresses me out. This is very stressful to try and figure this out. Who's going to play and who's going to do what. Obviously it'll go into the season and they'll sort of vibe it out. They have a lot of great options. So that's a good thing for Dani, but yeah, there's a little intrigue just in who's going to be out there in the first batch.
She has 17 players. John Cook liked to keep a roster of 12 to 14. And Dani's going to be more aggressive. She's going to be more aggressive about building her roster. And I think you're going to see a more aggressive style of play from Nebraska. They're going to take more risks in what they do from an offensive standpoint. And it'll be fun to watch. Nebraska named its captains yesterday on Wednesday. So Rebecca Alec, the senior middle, setter Bergen Riley, junior middle, Andy Jackson, returning first-team All-American, are Nebraska's captains for the 2025 season. So that's a good group of leadership too. And Harper Murray is officially an Adidas athlete. She joins a select few in the college game that have this kind of sponsorship. Very cool and lucrative thing that college athletes are able to do now. If you were a star like 10 years ago, you have to be looking at this and going, what the heck?
Damn, I was born 10 years too early.
She joins Dylan Raiola at Nebraska. Lexi Rodriguez was in this company a year ago.
They put Harper's face on the library. I mean, how cool
is that? The main character with the huge picture of Harper beamed across Love Library. Like, wow, times have changed.
Yeah, that's the only takeaway that I have on this one too.
So you can see Harper in person at PBA along with the captains and Dani Busboom Kelly and everybody, and maybe Dylan Raiola this weekend in Lincoln. Probably. It's just amazing how volleyball continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger in this state, and Friday, Saturday, Sunday at PBA are going to be a shining example.
Yep. All right, quick break. We have a few more things to get to on the other side, including what you might be eating at Memorial Stadium in just a couple weeks after this.
All right, a message now from Open Phone. If you're running a business, every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time that you needed a service. If the first person you called didn't answer, did you wait? You probably moved on. That's why you need Open Phone, so you never miss an opportunity to connect with customers. Open Phone is the #1 business phone system designed to streamline and scale your customer communications. Do you juggle 2 phones just to keep business and personal calls separate? Open Phone solved that instantly. Your whole team can share one number and respond to customers like it's a shared inbox. No more of who's handling this. See why over 60,000 businesses trust Open Phone. They're offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/locked-on. That's openphone.com/locked-on. They'll even port over your existing numbers for free. Open Phone, no missed calls, no missed customers.
And I'd like to tell you a little bit about Prize Picks, the daily fantasy platform that lets you turn your football predictions into real rewards. Preseason is nearly wrapping up by this time. College football, of course, starting up this weekend, and the National Football League starting up very, very soon as well. So maybe you have, or you're in the process of choosing your separate fantasy team already, and you want to double down on those guys. You could double down on the winnings that you're able to bring home on a weekly basis based on one player. You could do that with Prize Picks. So maybe you have Saquon Barkley on your team. Maybe you have like Ladd McConkey on your team or something like that. You could just have them all on your side. Prize Picks, it's very, very easy to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. Prize Picks, run your game. All right, welcome back. Connor, Harper, Mitch Sherman with you here on a Thursday. I believe we'll be taping the mailbag show at some point today. So this is your last call. Officially get those in for us.
And your last call for 2 weeks, because the next mailbag is going to be on the eve of the they play in Akron in the home opener. Is that right?
Akron.
Actually going to play that game?
Akron revenge game. You know, they left. They didn't take the dorm rooms in 2018. So it's a big one. So yeah,
weather forecast.
Last one before the season. All right. So yesterday we talked about barbecue on the show, Kansas City Barbecue. I hope everybody who's going to go down to the game has an opportunity to get their hands on some of that.
I got a recommendation from somebody connected to the Nebraska football program, somebody in the Nebraska football program about Kansas City Barbecue. And it's not Terry Braden. It's not Gates. And I'll reveal that next week, but it is very intriguing. And I made a call to get some intel about this place. Not one of your places that you just know off. I'm not going to say like, oh, go to Joe. No, it's not Joe's.
Okay.
And I'm going to reveal that next week on the show at some point.
Wow. This is exciting. There's a reason to listen next week. But here on the home front, Nebraska has a new food vendor, Aramark. They have taken over the concessions running at Memorial Stadium and a variety of different Nebraska facilities. So the media was invited yesterday to head over and take pictures of and eat food, which was very, very enticing, I'm sure, to everyone. Saw a lot of good looking stuff, some nachos, some brisket, burnt end dogs, some beer, of course, in the stadium. I got a chance to try the Cornhusker Crusher yesterday.
Cross strain.
Yes. So they reached out and they were like, "Hey, we'll bring some beer down for you guys." It was great. Awesome. We had it on air, and apparently it will only cost $1 more than like your standard, Busch Light at the game. So I would imagine with Mr. Herbie on there, people are going to be buying the Cornhusker Crusher from Cross Strain this season. But yes, a little bit of a different look if you're into concessions at Memorial Stadium, or you could still get your Runzas and your Valentinos and stuff like that as well. So there's no need to panic.
I saw some buzz on social media. Sean Callahan tweeted out that Nebraska is going to have 121,000 tall boys available at every game. Is that right?
Yes, I saw that, but it's not enough, I don't think. Like, so Doug, who's the GM over at Crosstrain, he came in yesterday and he was like, they asked what to, they had a request of like what to make for the first couple weeks of the season for beer. And they were like, they saw it because it's supposed to take them all the way through like the Michigan game. And they saw it and they were like, yeah, we're going to make more just in case. So they think they might be undershooting it on how much beer they're actually going to sell. So,
the tall boys, does that include the like the microbrews, the stuff from Zipline and Cross Strain? Are we talking about all
that's
beer?
everything. I think that's everything. Yeah.
Yeah, that is not enough. I agree with you. Huh.
Yeah.
Especially on a hot day in September. They need more.
And I've heard that, it's been a thing for Aramark where like they'll undershoot it a little bit. Like they will run out.
Want to run out of beer. They want to increase demand.
They will run out from time to time. So maybe expect that in the first couple weeks of the season.
All right. Anything else to say about the food? The Tunnel Walk nachos. You can get a Herbie burger. There's all kinds of cool names. I didn't go and check out the food because I don't care that much. I'm probably not going to eat it.
Great take.
At the stadium. I might go down and get a dog, or I'll probably just get a Runza. It'd be super boring. Sometimes the press box food is just awful, but it's free, so I'm not going to complain about it too much.
Mm-hmm.
It looked good. I had no interest, honestly, in checking out the food. Sorry. I'm not doing a service to my listeners and readers and viewers.
It was very well covered, Mitch. It was very well covered.
It was one of those instances where I felt like things were handled if I wasn't there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Farmageddon.
Uh-huh.
We're going to predict this first big college football game of the year. It's week 0. Actually, it's the first game. There's some others on the docket. Yeah. There's some others on the docket on Saturday. That's 2 days from now, by the way. This is the big one. This is the Big 12 showdown. This is the Aer Lingus Classic in Dublin. We are familiar with the setting. 11 a.m. Kansas State, Iowa State. Wildcats are a 3.5-point favorite to win in Dublin. What say you?
Yeah, so I hate doing this, but I feel strongly that this is going to be a game that ends at the very end. Like it's going to be decided within the last couple minutes. So could get screwed on this one, but I feel as if I'm getting 3.5 points and I will take them. So give me Iowa State to cover. Like they think this is a 1 or 2 or 3 point game.
Yeah, that's good. So like K-State, kicks a field goal to win this thing, and
I'm good.
Yeah,
yep.
Your clones are good. Mm-hmm. I love the coaching matchup here, and I know they play this game every year, and these guys have matched wits before, but both of these guys are just so good at doing what they do. Like within the restraints and the limitations, especially moving into this new era that they have, like two like complete pros who know their programs inside and out and what is going to work at these places, and just like the formula to win games without any of the unnecessary BS.
Yep.
I'm going to take Kansas State. I think they're a little better this year, knowing next to nothing because I haven't studied the rosters of either one of these teams, but just like looking at the trajectories that they've taken, I believe in what Chris Kleiman does and what he's building there. Same for Matt Campbell, but I'm going to take the Cats to cover that 3.5. And I'm looking forward so much on Saturday to just sitting on my couch and watching that game.
Yeah, I might even watch Idaho State against UNLV if I could find out what channel it is on. The debut of Kansas's new stadium is also Saturday as they host Fresno State.
Oh, that's not a bad game.
There's Stanford and Hawaii. It's not super late night. It starts at 6:30 Central. But Stanford goes out to the island to play Hawaii. So if you're interested, a little nightcap there, and then you can
the rare ACC game, the rare ACC opponent coming to Hawaii.
That's a great point. I forgot about that.
You know who coaches UNLV, right?
Dan Mullen.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
So yeah. He was on a billboard and on TV and things. I may not have known that if I hadn't been in Vegas recently for Big Ten Media Days, which leads me directly into the last subject of this episode. So when we were in Las Vegas last month, feels like 6 months ago, but it was just last month, one of the coaches who I really enjoyed hearing from and just liked the feeling that I got, because the year before it was a mess with DeShaun Foster in Indianapolis. And he just kind of owned the moment and said, yeah, I screwed that up, and I'm going to make some jokes about it and kind of poke fun at myself and not take things too seriously. And I actually went and listened to him in his side podium session, and I thought, okay, UCLA, they got Nico, they're in LA, like they're a team that could surprise people. And it's notable for us here because Nebraska's got to go to the Rose Bowl this year. So he's been caught up in a bit of a controversy out there. And this is one of those things where I didn't comment on it on Twitter yesterday because I don't want to be like, look at the media guy who's complaining about access. So they invited media out to a practice and then showed the media. And like some of these people have to drive like 2 hours to get there because it's LA. And there's really not that many people who cover UCLA to begin with. And then they showed them like 6 minutes or 7 minutes of stretching. And they've been like really cutting back on the player access. And so Foster is like doubling down on this and saying, this is a quote. Yeah, you guys film our practice and put it online. If I was an opponent for another team, I'd look right at your guys' stuff and see what's going on. So for them not to get a beat on Tino or depth on anything that's going on, that's why it's closed. And he says the same with player interviews. He doesn't want opponents watching them. Like, dude, this is stupid. This is not 2025 way to coach. Like, your players need a platform.
If you were going to do that, just close it, and just close practice. Just don't allow the media to come in, period, and then take all the slings and arrows that come out of that. But don't make them come down and watch stretching for 3 minutes. Just so they could drive back and sit in gridlock for 2 hours. That's stupid.
I'm not even so much talking about that as much as I am like the attitude of total paranoia that if you allow your players to do what players want to do and be out there in public, like this is the LA media, like it's worth something to them. They all have brand values at this point, like it or not. And I know many of you don't like that. And you would say, just keep it closed. No, like you have to embrace this in 2025, or you will not get the players in your program that you want, win or not. You need to be a coach who puts your players out there. Look at what we've talked about in this episode today. Matt Rhule has a podcast apparently now. Harper Murray's face is being displayed on the Love Library. Like, this is the world we live in today, and DeShaun Foster apparently doesn't want to embrace it.
Yeah, it's tough. I think that's part of the learning process of becoming a head coach. He's still a little bit new at this. Maybe there is some room for adjustment as we go on. All right, that is it for us today. We will talk to you again tomorrow for the mailbag. Thanks for making Locked On Nebraska your first listen today. For your second listen, you can check out the Portal Show with Brian Smith. Find it on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.